Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled, What If Notre Dame and Texas Vanished in 1999? The season that broke college football. What if I told you that in 1999 Notre Dame didn't exist? Texas, gone. Wisconsin, erased. Stanford, also gone. No warning, no probation, no scandal, just gone. NBC loses its biggest contract. The Big 12 fractures overnight. Dayne doesn't win the Heisman at Wisconsin. He runs wild at Indiana. And Oregon State wins the national championship. This is an alternate history simulation of the 1999 season, and by the time we reach the BCS title game, college football will not look the same ever again. Let's break it down and set the table for the dissolution. The sport wakes up to the unthinkable in January of 1999. Notre Dame, Texas, Wisconsin, Stanford, gone. Four pillars of power, deleted from existence. You may be thinking to yourself that this would never happen. Correct. This is alternate history, but we're applying real world late 90s data rosters, logic, and realistic ripple effects. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Every head coach and every major star from those dissolved programs must transfer, but only to non blue blood teams, preferably ones that had losing records in 1998. No sacking contenders, no artificial super teams. This is how Barry Alvarez is now coaching Oregon State. Mack Brown takes over Baylor. Tyrone Willingham is now at Northwestern, and Bob Davie ends up at Rutgers. Dayne transfers to Indiana. Major Applewhite transfers to Kansas, and suddenly programs that were 3-8 and 4-7 the year before are sitting on blue blood infrastructure. March becomes very chaotic for recruiting. Texas high school pipelines scatter to Oklahoma and A&M. NBC sues over the loss of Notre Dame inventory, and the Big Ten calls emergency meetings. The sport is destabilizing before a single snap. And that sets the table for spring and summer panic. Spring ball reports start leaking. Oregon State looks disciplined, physical, different. Indiana's offense suddenly revolves around Dayne's gravity. You may be thinking to yourself that Indiana can't just become good overnight in the 90s. Normally, correct. But here's what changes. Indiana doesn't need to become elite. They just need to be competent around a Heisman level running back in a Big Ten that just lost Wisconsin. That margin matters. Meanwhile, without Notre Dame, NBC moves money towards SEC inventory. TV leverage changes, and conference politics do as well. The absence of Stanford quietly hurts the Pac-10's academic branding. The absence of Texas destabilizes the Big 12 hierarchy. By August, the preseason top 10 looks normal at the top, but volatile underneath. Oregon State is ranked, Indiana's a dark horse, Baylor's not a joke anymore, and the 99 season begins. And that sets the table for September shockwaves. Week 1, Indiana upsets Michigan. Dayne runs for over 170 yards. National media doesn't know how to process it. And you may be thinking to yourself that one upset doesn't change the season. Normally, yes. But in this alternate history universe, perception is fragile. The Big Ten just lost Wisconsin. Now Indiana is relevant? It feels like tectonic plates are changing. Oregon State starts 3-0. Baylor is competitive. Kansas with Applewhite has a much improved offense. September does end with Florida State at number 1, but there's instability underneath. And that sets the table to the October climb. Oregon State loses early to UCLA, and that's important. This isn't a fairy tale rise. Alvarez recalibrates. They beat USC, they beat Washington. Indiana climbs into the top 10. The Heisman watch becomes at the top with Dayne now at Indiana. And you may be thinking to yourself that this feels too clean for Oregon State, but here's why it works. They aren't off the charts. They aren't off the charts. They're disciplined. The Pac-10 without Stanford becomes slightly less balanced, and margins open. And that sets the table for November structural chaos. Kansas upsets Kansas State. The SEC benefits from redistributed recruiting. The Big Ten suddenly runs through Indiana. and Oregon State finishes the regular season surging. The BCS standings top five are Florida State, Oregon State, Virginia Tech, Nebraska, and Indiana. The sport feels upside down, and then we reach the title game. And the BCS title game is Florida State versus Oregon State, Dynasty versus Resurrection. The game is tight. Alvarez slows the tempo. Florida State presses. Late fourth quarter, Florida State goes for it on 4th and 3. Incomplete. Oregon State wins 24-20 from losing season in 1998 to national champion in 1999. And you may be thinking to yourself that this would permanently alter the sport. You're right, and that's the point. Because this isn't just about one season. This alternate history scenario reshapes TV deals, conference power, recruiting pipelines. Without Notre Dame and Texas anchoring tradition, the illusion of permanence breaks. And once that illusion breaks, anything feels possible. And there are many reasons why this season broke college football. Among those, the NBC loses its independent anchor, the Big 12 loses its flagship, the Pac-10 loses academic ballast, the Big 10 recenters around a non-traditional power. A Heisman winner plays at Indiana in the 1990s. College football thrives on tradition. Remove tradition, and volatility takes over. This was the season that proved power isn't permanent. This entire simulation is alternate history, but the ripple effects are grounded in real 1998 performance data and realistic structural reactions. 4 programs gone, 1 unexpected champion, a sport destabilized. And if you enjoyed alternate college football universes where real history gets flipped on its head, hit like, comment what team you would dissolve next, and subscribe, because on the end screen I've got more alternate history simulations that rewrite college football history. And I'll see you in the next universe.